Good morning, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. Hope you're all well. Just before I start, I just wanted to highlight that it's really important that you do watch the entirety of this video because it does explain what you need to do. And should there be any other questions that arise that are not answered in this video, then I'm more than happy to answer those. But what I've found is that there are a few students who, when I've done these videos, they don't watch the whole thing, and then they ask the questions that have already been answered in the video. So I would urge you to watch the entirety of this video. I do know that this video is going to be pretty long, and I apologize for that, but I think that it's necessary so that at least you understand exactly what you need to do. So basically, task 1 is Quranic memorization. It should take no more than 10 minutes, maybe even 5 if you've already done the task beforehand. If you remember from last week, if I gave you your feedback, I said that you need to memorize 3 new surahs. Now, if for whatever reason you've not memorized these 3 new surahs, or if you were not able to receive the feedback from me, then basically what I need you to do is memorize 3 new ayahs or verses from the surah that you're currently on. Okay? And you should be aware of what surah you're currently on. Once you've recorded yourself, send this to me by email, and feedback will follow. You can even send it to me via Teams as well. That's fine as well. Now, then you move to task 2, which is Quranic reading. Again, no more than 10 minutes. Will probably take you more likely 5 minutes even. But again, use this link. Click the in the center of the screen which says, I think it's enable flash or something like that. Just click that, and then it will actually, after maybe 30 seconds, open up the Quran. And open up to Surah Al-Hujurat, page 515, Surah 49. If by some reason you're not able to open this up, let me know, and I'll get you I'll cut and copy it basically, and I'll paste it onto the kind of the main area of this forum or group, so to speak. So if you're not able to kind of access this for whatever reason in the color coded version, then do feel free to ask. The other thing I was going to say is you've already got a scanned version of this though, so you should be even using that as priority. The one that I sent from last week, where I kind of highlighted all your key mistakes. That's for those that I did send through their Quranic reading, because there were quite a few of you that didn't send your Quranic reading through yet. So you're going to have to send me today that task. Anyway, using the feedback provided to you in the last lesson, re-record yourself on a video or audio file. Now, I would actually prefer an audio file actually for task 1 and this task. And record yourself reciting the first 2 verses of Surah Hujurat only. If you want to record more, feel free, but I'd say to you just to stick to 2 verses. And the key focus is to make improvements from last week. That's the whole point of this. It's not about kind of giving you tasks to do that are just meaningless. The reality is that if you listen to the feedback that I gave from last week for your reading, and you apply that to this week's recitation, you should hear some improvement. And again, send this to me, and then feedback will follow. Now, this is where the real work will happen, and I want to explain this in a second. But first and foremost, the task 3 is all about science. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to highlight with this is this: we're going to be learning about what science says about a specific part of the body, for example. And so in this case, we're going to be looking at the human circulatory system. So the intro says, Arabic doctor Al-Zahrawi created many surgical tools, such as a scalpel, and used catgut to make internal stitches in patients. Another Middle Eastern medic named Ibn Nafis described the circulation of the blood before anyone else. Okay. Now, then I put some guiding questions. How does blood circulate around our bodies? Why does it circulate around our bodies? And then, how do the heart and blood system work together? These are the key questions you should be answering. Now, I get this. Some of you are going, what? But sir, this has got nothing to do with Islam. And to a certain extent, you are correct. But you have to remember that Islam can link with many subjects. Islam can link with so many different subjects. And you'll see why I'm saying this in a second. But all I want you to do is answer these questions using the resources that I'm providing to you shortly. Okay? So basically, what you're going to be doing is learning about, if you haven't already learned this from before, but even if you have learned about it before, I would recommend that you still use these links that I've uploaded here. Try and use some of these to help you kind of learn more from how basically the blood does circulate around our bodies and why it does so, and how the heart and blood system work together. But basically, what I'm trying to ask you to do is, your project needs to be pretty much 75% science based. Okay, you've got to remember that Allah talks about science a lot in the Quran. By the way, He doesn't say the word science, but He talks about scientific phenomena and miracles and scientific processes in the Quran. And what we've got to realize is that all of these different subjects and topics, they actually ultimately come from Allah. So that's how it in some way does connect to Islam. But I'll show you how else it could connect to Islam in a second. So your work that you research and you kind of learn about should predominantly be science-based. Now, these links may not all work. If they don't work, go to the next one. Okay? So you might find that, say, the first one and the fourth one may not work at all. If that's the case for you, then fine. Then go to the second and the third and the sixth and so forth, and just see what you can find out about the human circulatory system. Remember, use the guiding questions to support your knowledge. Now, once you've done this is now where you connect it to Islam. From the list of possible Quranic and Sunnah evidences provided, choose which one you feel best connects to this topic today. Now, I've put 5 of them here, okay, to help you, because I found that with other year groups who were doing something similar, they were struggling to find the evidence. Now, what I'm trying to highlight is that with these evidences, they are not clear-cut talking about the blood flow. They're not talking about how the heart pumps blood around the body. It doesn't talk about any scientific processes. The reality is that you've got to read between the lines with these hadiths that I've provided, because, let me go through the first one. Prophet said, "Verily the body is a piece of flesh, which, if sound, the entire body is sound, and if corrupt, the entire body is corrupt. Truly it is the heart." Now, my question to you is this. What is this hadith talking about? Which part of the body is it talking about? Right? So, if it's talking about the heart, which I'm guessing that's what you were thinking, can it not be connected to what we've been learning about? Because ultimately we're learning about the heart. Right? I'm not saying that's the only thing we're learning about, but we're learning about the body and the heart. So, you could connect this by talking about how, Islam talks about the importance of the heart, and that although the heart, from a scientific point of view, pushes blood around the body, from an Islamic perspective, it is the one that's responsible for keeping the body sound and corrupt, and that if the heart's sound, the body's sound. If the heart's corrupt, the entire body's corrupt. So you can link it to Islam in that way. It's not, you're never going to be able to connect it when it comes to trying to discuss it through the perspective of blood flow and everything else, because Islam won't talk about those things per se, because that's where science comes in. A second possible evidence is the Prophet saying, if you want to soften your heart, feed the poor and pat the head of the orphan. Again, ask yourself, does that connect in some way or another in terms of the topic you're talking about? 3, wealth is in the heart and poverty is in the heart. Whoever is wealthy in his heart will not be harmed no matter what happens in this world. And whoever is impoverished in his heart will not be satisfied no matter how much he has in this world. Verily, he will only be harmed by the greed of his own soul. Again, is this talking about a body part or the body as a whole? No human being will enter paradise if there is as much as weight of a seed of arrogance in his heart. Again, could it connect? And last but not least, Prophet Muhammad said, peace be upon him, "O people, remain straight upon the path, and you will have taken a great lead. But if you swerve right or left, then you will be led far astray." Could this connect? Now, don't presume to think that all these 5 evidences do connect. It might be that only 1 or 2 that, in your own opinion, connect. It might be all 5 do. So don't be under the presumption that I put them all there because you can use all 5 of them. It's up to you. Now, as a challenge, and I do want you to kind of maybe look at doing this as well, is go to the Quran.com website, which is at the bottom of the slide, or Sunnah.com, and why don't you type in keywords like heart Just heart on its own. See what hadiths or verses come up. See if they could be used as well. Type in the word blood and see what comes up, right? It might talk about how, blood is pure or how blood is sacred or whatever, I don't know. In those two website links, why not type in the word body? See what comes up. The point is that this is your challenge. I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you can find other evidences to help you kind of describe what the Islam talks about when it comes to the heart and when it comes to blood and when it comes to the body, that's how you now connect it to Islam. Then task 5, which I don't think many of us will get to in today's lesson, we may need to do this next lesson, but showcase what you've learned via one of the following ways. So if you've done all your learning, you've connected to Islam, and it's all kind of ready to go, then you've got to create a presentation that will allow you to showcase what you've learned, either through PowerPoint, which I would say 4 or 5 slides would be enough, video, and it should be educational video, not just I've learned about this and that. Newspaper or magazine article, interview, where it could be that maybe it's a written interview, or maybe you could take the role of the interviewer and interviewee, up to you, and poster. It's up to you which one you choose. But this rubric here will determine what grade you get. Because I'll be looking at knowledge, I'll be looking at presented work, I'll be looking at the connection to Islam via critical thinking and research, and the connection to Islam via evidence from the Quran and Sunnah. So, from the knowledge perspective, as long as you provide an in-depth, concise, accurate knowledge which is relevant, then you will get full marks. But it's where you're a bit too loose and where you're just making things up from memory or from your own mind. That's where you would lose the marks. Remember, this knowledge part will will be fully the science-based. So whatever you get for your knowledge will be based on what you put for science. Presented work. Is your work easy to follow? Have you laid it out in a logical way? Is it got enough words and pictures where relevant? It might be in the video that you might actually hold pictures up that you've drawn to showcase, or a diagram to make it easy for someone to understand. So ask yourself, is your presented work laid out and following a kind of a key format that makes sense? Connection to Islam and critical thinking. Very quickly, to answer the last two before I end this video, with the connection to Islam and critical thinking, the whole point with this is that it's asking, have you researched what Islam says? So what I mean by this is, have you looked at maybe what other scholars have said about when it comes to the heart or the body or blood? Yeah, have you used what they've said? And then last but not least, and other evidences as well. And last but not least, have you connected to Islam via Quranic or Hadith evidence? So hopefully that makes sense. I apologize again for the long video, but it's necessary for you to watch the entirety of this video. Any questions in the meantime, do ask, and all the best for this.